All right, what is going on, y'all? Let me make sure I'm in the camera. I'm gonna back up a little bit. All right, 1, 2, 3. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to 13th Street. You know what I'm saying? But I know y'all probably wondering. Let me get my handy dandy iPad out and make sure we all great. Hold on. Let me get right, y'all. I got everything. I gotta get my notes. I gotta get everything so we can be on track and on hand. But look, let me see. Let's start off with welcome to 13th Street. My name is Amal Rashawn. I just so happen to be a clothing designer, but I also like to report. And we're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about just random things. But this is where I come, and we don't do no safe takes. We don't do none. I don't teeter the fence. Sometimes I might agree with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give y'all that. Some days I might agree with y'all. Some days I might not. Some days y'all probably wondering what is I'm talking about and why do you think you could talk about these things? But I ain't gonna lie. If y'all wondering about my background, I played sports all my life, every single sport. But that doesn't matter. I don't think playing sports really gives you the criteria to report. Because when I was playing sports, I was technical. Because I always wonder about why this happened, why that happened, why did the loss come? Because a lot of times stats don't really show you the whole story that you're looking for when you're watching the game, when you're looking at this, when you're looking at that. And I even do that in life. I'm saying sometimes in life, I look at why this happened, why that happened, why does this answers. I just look for answers, pretty much is what I'm saying. But 13th Street, y'all know y'all see the outfit. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all not here for fashion, but hey, it's 13th Street and we got some Maryland 13 on. Y'all might see some 13th Street merch. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we gonna see what happens. I hope y'all love this page and I hope y'all love us. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing different things. I feel like I can be more consistent with this content because I love sports. This is giving me a reason to watch a bunch of sports, pay attention to things going on, whatever. And it gives me a break from the luxurious fashion world. But anyway, I love y'all. I know y'all want Midnight 13 to come. It's coming. But, all right, I want to really move over and start with the NBA. I'm going to start with the NBA and let's see. With the NBA right now, I guess the biggest offseason story, I can't even put my finger on it. I think that was the first thing I was going to talk about, but I can't put my finger on it. I know Giannis went to the Heat and joined Bam. And I don't know what to think of that, y'all. So let's start. Let me give y'all a concise view of that. They got rid of a lot of pieces. They got rid of Tyler Hero. The guy from UCLA, I forgot his name. They got rid of Ware, last name Ware. I forgot his name. I can't think. I don't even got notes in front of me. I'll just keep bullet points of things I want to talk about. I don't want to be scripted at all. We got no safe takes. Honestly, I don't think the Heat gonna do much. I haven't heard no news that they made. They got a lot of holes. I believe Giannis needs a point guard. I believe it. Because if we go back, right, Giannis had Dame. But I feel like even when him and Dame played, they didn't have time to mesh and they barely even played together. So he needs a point guard, but he needs a certain type of point guard. And I don't think Davion Mitchell is that point guard that could get him to the next hump. Now, do I believe he's going to make the playoffs? Of course, he's one of the... I would give him top 5 in the league. I would say Giannis is top 5. Of course, y'all would say that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think this team is better than the Bucks. I don't think it's better. Because he had a young team on the Bucks. They was getting young. They had pieces. He was injured, they want to say, but I don't think he was injured. I think they had a lot to do with the reason why he was sitting out those games. You know what I mean? So I don't think, but if I want to be on a mediocre team and not do nothing, where would I want to be, Milwaukee, or do I want to be in Miami? You know what I'm saying? I think Miami got way more room to get way more people. I don't think nobody's knocking down Milwaukee's door to go play in Milwaukee. I think everybody wants to go to Miami because it's just easy. Taxes, whatever they like to say. The city is amazing, especially for sports. They ride for their sports teams And that's just how it is. Let's see another one. Ja Morant to the Trailblazers. Ja Morant to the Trailblazers does not make rhyme or reason nor sense. You know what I mean? Ja to the Trailblazers is basically, they don't know what they want, but they can't do much right now. Because how I look at it is, okay, if I'm a team that needs a point guard, right? And I see Trailblazers have 1,000,001 point guards on their team for no reason. I don't think I would offer them much. And this will be my reasoning, right? I see you got 4 point guards. You got Ja Morant, you got Drew Holiday. Drew could slide to a small 2, but I wouldn't, in this NBA, I wouldn't put him at a 2. You got Ja, Drew, Dame, and you got Scoot. All of them are point guards. And the thing is, I'm gonna explain after this, because y'all gonna probably think, oh, they're not point guards. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about how point guards are in this NBA, but give me a minute. So you got 4 point guards, right? And I believe, me personally, I keep Ja and Drew. Just because. Now Dame and Scoot gonna have probably your more value. Scoot will have more value, so I would pair him with a draft pick and try to see what you would get for him. Dame is that outlier because Dame just came off an injury. You don't know what you're getting. And it's come to a point where Dame, we got to see something. I could keep Dame on the team because I could drop Drew to the 2 and have Dame come off the bench because he got to get back in the rhythm. He just coming off injury. I'm going to give him some minutes. Maybe Dame could be a 6th man of the year. I don't want to overload him with minutes and get him hurt again. That's what I'm thinking. But if I see him rolling and he rehabbing with the trainers and he looking amazing, he gonna get that start, and then I could drop Drew down. Cause Drew, I feel like Drew is like that Swiss Army knife. He could start, give you buckets, give you defense, and he could also come off the bench and do the same thing and be a 6th man of the year. But he has been playing amazing. So I believe if anybody's gonna leave, it's gotta be Scoot. Because everybody's seen what Scoot did last year. They seen he improving. They seen that he could be a productive guard in this league. They seen it in spurts. It wasn't the whole season. They seen it in spurts. They seen it in that latter half and in the playoffs. They seen it. So I believe you're going to get the most from getting rid of Scoot. You're not going to get nothing from getting rid of Dame because he got injury history. You're not going to get nothing from getting rid of Drew Holiday because he's on that upper end. And I think a lot of teams want young stars. A lot of teams are investing more into young stars because we getting into a new age, man. We can't just keep passing around the same old players we had for the last decade. They not investing that much because of the salary cap and because of this, because of that. Because you have a lot of the players that are older of age and are still good, you got to pay them a lot of money. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about the PA and all that, the Player Association. We're going to talk about this bargaining agreement. We're going to talk about that in a different episode, just not today. But, all right, let's see. But I don't know why the Trailblazers did it. I wanted to see Ja go to, me personally, I had Ja possibly going to the Timberwolves, but the Timberwolves actually did amazing. Honestly, if we looking for a team to look out for, it has to be the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are one move away. And I say this, right? The Timberwolves, me personally, Rudy Gobert would not be on my team after his contract is up. Or I might try to trade him. Because I believe that we need to get younger. I'm saying that's not my team. I'm going to tell y'all my team later. But the Timberwolves need to get younger when it comes to size, center. They need a good 4. Because right now, everybody got Jaden McDaniels playing a 4. And it's like, it's possible because of how the Spurs run theirs with a Vassell. But Vassell, however you say it. And they got dude, I forgot his name. It's a short dude that can shoot, though. I'm saying short, but he is shorter than everybody else. Because I'm definitely shorter than all of them. But anyway, they got a decent-sized lineup, but then they got Wemby. You know what I mean? So with the Timberwolves, I believe that I'm not even going to call them a dark horse. I think everybody expecting them to do well because I believe that as much as people think that LaMelo Ball isn't prototypical point guard, I believe LaMelo gives you that mix. You know what? I'm going to start that topic, right? Timberwolves, LaMelo and Ant. I feel like it meshes way better than Ja Morant and Ant. So I'm glad Ja didn't go to the Timberwolves. But let's go back to LaMelo and Ant. I believe that is the perfect duo, right? Because we have Ant. He's been playing on ball, but when Ant was at his most productive, he was not on the ball. Because I believe you don't want him to play make. You don't want him making all these decisions. You don't want him having to overthink, because that's when turnovers come in. And is prone to a few turnovers here and there. It's not a big problem. It's just more so when he has to initiate the offense, it's not as productive, right? So LaMelo brings to the table a point guard. And I believe a point guard in this league, let's start there. A point guard in this league is supposed to put pressure on the defense, but also be that floor general, right? Because I know all the people early 2000s and under, they want a Chris Paul, or they want a Steve Nash, or they want a this, or they want a that, or they want a Jason Kidd, they want a Stephon Marbury. They want all those earlier guards. But we learned that a point guard doesn't have to be that. They labeled Allen Iverson a shooting guard, but he's really a point. Like Gil Arenas, he's a point. But I'm going to explain. A point guard in this day and age, I believe, is supposed to put pressure on the defense. If you are a point guard and I know you can't shoot and you're playing in this time right now, it will not work. It won't. You've seen what happened to Ben Simmons. It just doesn't work. If I know you're not willing to shoot, it does not work, because now I can cheat back. I can cheat because you're not a confident shooter. You're a floor general. You want to pass the ball. If I know, and I'm not going to let you get downhill, because I know that's what you rather do than shoot the ball. So I'm going to cheat. And if you beat me by shooting the ball, I could just live and die by that. But if you are not willing to actually score the ball and put pressure on the defense, as a point guard, you're kind of obsolete in this league. There's no point guard in this league that's actually top 5 that doesn't put pressure on the defense. We can name them all. Come on. But anyway, we'll talk about the top 5 point guards. That's another thing. We're going to talk about that in another episode. That's not going to be today. But that is my vision of a prototypical point guard. Pressure on the defense. There we go. Now, let's talk about where LeBron will land. I got a damn alarm on. If we're going to talk about where LeBron's going to land, honestly, I'm kind of on a hill. I know everybody's saying, oh, it makes sense for him to go to the Cavs if it's going to be his last few seasons. But honestly, I wouldn't go back to the Cavs, me personally. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but I wouldn't go back to the Cavs just because the team layout doesn't make sense. You have Donovan Mitchell, you got James Harden, you got Jared Allen still, and you got Mobley. That's that starting lineup. I guess you insert him at the 3, but it's like, you got to think, right? Mobley isn't a good three-point shooter, nor is Jared Allen. So those are a lot of bodies that are demanding the paint. Those are a lot of bodies demanding the paint. So that's not the greatest fit. It's not, like, because as a defense, LeBron can shoot. Last year wasn't his best year of shooting, but LeBron can shoot the ball. And I just don't see it, y'all. I don't see it. I don't see him going back to the Cavs and it being productive. I think it's possible. James Harden isn't the best three-point shooter. I think he gets downhill pretty well. And he has a three-point shot, but I don't see it being productive enough for LeBron to be able to drive and kick the Donovan Mitchell. Because you got to think, if he drives and kick, where Mobley and Jared Allen? At the three-point line? Are you going to guard Jared Allen at the three-point line? Mobley, he might could hit one. I still wouldn't guard him at the three-point line. I think they're going to crash the paint. And that offense just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work, y'all. It just wouldn't. That's just how I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking just how I would react. And let's see. Warriors will be a cool story. It'll bring us back to that Olympic little run they had. But in the end, I wouldn't. Playing with Curry would be amazing. He could stay in California. I know he got a house in California. He could get a little whatever up in there in the Bay and chill. But Texas is kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? So y'all know where I'm going, right? Y'all know where I'm going. I really think, I think that LeBron to the Spurs, I think the top two will probably be the Warriors or the Spurs. Because the Spurs, he has a lot of young talent. And I'm not going to say they're going to carry him, but I will say that with the young talent around him, he doesn't have to be the one to carry the bulk of the load. You know what I mean? Because if LeBron is carrying the load, he's going to burn out one day because he's in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect a 40-year-old to carry you to the playoffs and then carry you through the playoffs. He could pace himself. He could chill. And he got Wemby and Castle and Harper and Vassell and Champagnie. There you go. He got all these people and he got all these young pieces, you know what I'm saying, that'll really help. So that's where I think. The Spurs make the most sense to me. And the Warriors, those two make the most sense. They make a lot of sense, actually. A lot of sense. That's where I'm at. We still waiting. I didn't do this video earlier in the month because I was waiting. I ain't gonna lie, I was waiting. I was trying to drop a vid. So, hey, we're gonna keep waiting. All right, let's look. So, let's see. Let's go to an underrated move, right? An underrated move that I think that happened in the NBA. I think, and this is gonna tell y'all what my team is. I think the most underrated move that happened in the NBA is Pistons not giving Jalen Duren that max deal, man. That is the biggest thing that happened to me. Because I know teams like to pay their players, but I feel like you have to charge it against him of this playoff run. This playoff run wasn't pretty for an all NBA player, you know what I mean? And it's like, he played amazing in the regular season. He had some amazing games. But when he was looking for 250, 300, for that, I believe you got to take us somewhere. I believe you have to be that second option. And also in this collective bargaining agreement, if you give Jalen Duren that money, you crippling Cade Cunningham because he's not going to get the help he needs. Because my thing is, if I'm going to give Jalen Duren that money, he has to be that piece. That is what we missing. We need to keep him, and that's going to keep our team afloat. Because because I got to give Cade money soon. Not too soon, but it's coming. And it's going to be within Jalen Duren's contract. So if I have to pay Cade again, I can't be sitting on his contract like that. I just can't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, what's the best thing they did was, all right, go out there and see what you get. And if we like the deal, we'll match it. I think that's the best thing because just like in anything, I feel like you got to see what it's worth. It's only worth what people are willing to pay. I know people think they worth more with the play, but you only worth as much as people willing to pay you. So let's test the market, see what's going on. I haven't heard no new news. Let's see who's been offering Jalen Duren. I think we need size, honestly. And I think we did a good in the draft, but I think we need a little more size. Just see what happens. See what happens. Jalen Duren, we need a mobile, little lob threat. He can catch a few lobs, but I ain't gonna lie. A slept-on move is the Pistons getting John Collins. Because that's a lob threat. I ain't gonna lie. He a lob threat. Lob it up to him. Do whatever. I see John Collins doing well. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be a second option because that's not possible. But he is a lob threat, and that would help a lot. And he could also shoot. 3-point percentage last year, but he can shoot. It could get better. We'll see what happens, man. I feel like he could fit in. And then also we got, who else we got? I think we got the guy from Thunder. We got him too. So that's a good addition. That adds more offense. That's amazing. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about the team under the most pressure. Let's see. The team under the most pressure to me, I'm trying to make sure. All right, we cool. The team under the most pressure to me has to be the Lakers. I think the Lakers is under the most pressure because at the end of the day, Luka's deal isn't long. I believe Luka has 2 years left. He got like 2 years left on his deal. And it's like, let me clarify, y'all, because I don't want y'all to be in the comments saying, oh, he don't know ball and he don't know nothing. I want to say it's 2 years left. Let's see. 3 years, which runs to the 2028. It runs through 2028. So I say 2028 summer, he should be looking for a new contract. And my thing is, you are nowhere near ready at all. And I know all the talk. Everybody's been doing. Let's see. I know all the talk. Stephen A. take when he's like a bunch of. I'm not gonna say it. It's funny, but he's not wrong. But people kind of sensitive. He's not wrong. And I'm not saying the color of the skin. I'm saying the talent of the players. You got Luka Doncic, which he got slimmer, but he still doesn't play any defense. Nor does Austin Reeves. And they say it's Kessler. He barely even played last year. I was trying to look through his stats. And when he was on the floor, he was pretty good. When he was on the floor, he was pretty decent, pretty serviceable big man. But he's not paid a whole bunch, but at the same time, that's not tilting the scale. That's not a deal that I could see. And they got some Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton, a couple more players to add into the rotation. But you also got unplayable players, which everybody sees the unplayable players. You got Bronny James, unplayable player. Never mind. You got Bronny James, you got Jared Vanderbilt. You got a good bit of money tied into people that cannot play whatsoever. I like Jared Vanderbilt. He's not. He decent on defense. I can't even say good on defense. He's another body to throw on defense. But it's just like, I just don't see it. The Lakers not going anywhere. Luka can lead them a good bit down, but you are trying to see if that center is gonna play. You got to see if he actually can play. He only played a handful of games last year. You got to see if he can play. And if he can't play, that's a bad move. I'm not going to say that's the worst move, but that's a lot of money to give to a guy that you just don't know. You don't know. You haven't seen him play up to that standard. But that does boost the market for centers, but you haven't seen him do nothing. So he's 7'2", I believe. He's 7'2", big body. I guess a rim protector, you could say, but I don't think that's helping. I don't think that's going to get you past some of these teams with the big men they have. I don't think he's stopping Jokic. I don't think he's stopping Wemby. I don't think he's stopping Chet. But we ain't going to talk about Chet right now. But all right, we're going to talk about who my stock is high on. We can call it stock up. You know what I'm saying? So my stock is high on, I want to say Darren Peterson to start off. Amazing player. And I don't go by the stats in Summer League. What I always look at is how a player moves, how they move. What is they go-to? How do they get to their spots? How do they separate themselves from the defense? And I believe Darren Peterson, the way he plays the game, he could do that to anybody. Like the sidestep, the way he get downhill, he's going to get more sizey as time goes, but he can do those moves on anybody. You know what I'm saying? I like Cam Boozer. He's going to get bigger. He could do what he's doing. He could do that to anybody in the league. I promise you. It's not just Summer League. He could do that to anybody. He picks his spots. He doesn't force too much. And he does very well. My stock is also up on LaMelo Ball. I see him coming in and being an engine to that team, pushing the pace. We're going to see a few lobs, you know what I'm saying, to LaMelo, you know what I mean? We're going to see them lobs, but I believe that LaMelo is going to be a good one. And I'll say an honorable mention. I want to say that boy Caleb, his name of the Bulls, that boy Caleb, my stock up, 7 for 11 from 3 last game. You know what I'm saying? At his side, 6'10", he's a 6'10", good 6'10". I see him doing good. I see him actually being productive in that offense. You know what I mean? But we're going to see. I see him doing well. Let's transition over. Let's go to the NFL, right? Let's talk about some of the biggest news in the NFL right now. The biggest news currently was Terrion Arnold. He's in the free agency now. Would I sign him as a team? I would not sign him as a team because we're going to take away all the outside stuff because, hey, at the end of the day, a lot of stuff don't matter if he's available to play. But at the same time, I don't see him as a number one corner. I really didn't think he was a number one corner for that Lions team, but technically he was, I guess you could say. He was working his way to being that. I don't see him as a number one corner. I see him more so as a good two. A good two would be okay. He doesn't just jump off the screen to me. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see who signs him. Somebody might sign him. Depends on if they got all the information they need and if they really confident that all the stuff is going to be to the side. Anyway, that's a sad story, honestly. It's kind of, but I ain't going to say too much on it. Y'all heard all the stories and everything. People talked about that for so long. That's not a story no more. But also, let's talk about Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs told everybody there's not a wide receiver two better. I beg to differ. And let me go to my notes. There's not a wide receiver two better than him, right? So let's talk about wide receiver twos. We'll have to go to, you know what? Let's start with this. Stephon Diggs is not in his prime no more. We understand that. He's getting up out of it. He's getting up out of his prime, getting up there. Also, he didn't have the best of year last year. To say you was a number one? You was kind of number one, but you was kind of a number one last year, but you didn't have that. Let me see. He had 1,013 yards, I believe. I guess he was a secondary option. I guess he had 1,013 yards, but my thing is, when I think of a number two, I'm looking for, let me go off this. We're going to use the team as the example. When I'm thinking of a number two wide receiver, I'm thinking of somebody like the Lions, right? The Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they got J-Mo. J-Mo is better than Stephon Diggs as a wide receiver too. Because for my wide receiver one, I could have my wide receiver one being slower, more of a technician with the routes, separation. You know what I'm saying? That's why Amon-Ra is the number one. He separates. He has route technique. He gets out of breaks like no other. That is a good wide receiver one. When it comes to a wide receiver two, I need you to do what my one can't do. I need you to do what my one cannot do. And guess what? J-Mo is faster than Amon-Ra. So I need you to hit your head on the goalpost. If you my number two, I need you to see if you could get that safety to commit. If you could get that safety, that helps my one. So Stephon isn't good at that. So I don't believe Stephon is greater than a J-Mo as a number two. I don't think he's greater than a George Pickens because George Pickens does things that CD doesn't do. CD, he has technique, routes, auto route tree, but George Pickens has a catch radius out of this world. CD has one, but George Pickens can catch over anybody, could get that safety to commit. George Pickens was a problem last year. Even when he was by himself, he was a problem. But George Pickens as number two is way better than Stephon Diggs. T. Higgins is that big body instead. He got the routes, but he's a big body. Jamar is a big body too, not as big, but he stocky. I'm saying, y'all see Jamar, he's damn running back out there, like at, receiver. And it's different. That dynamic is different. Because you got two receivers, Jamar can take the top off the defense, but he's a technician. T is more that possession, big body, red zone threat that is going to score. So they complement each other because they do things that the other can't do. So he's not better than T. Devontae Smith was a number two last year, but he's going to be a number one this year. So I wouldn't put him on the Eagles because I do want to see what Mekhi Lemon does as a number two. We'll see how that do. We're going to go with Youth on that one. Youth, the only thing that's beating him for that one. Let's see. Jordan Addison. Oh, I'll take Jordan Addison over Stephon. I'll say Jordan Addison is a pretty good route runner. He's also younger, and I don't have to pay him much just yet. And I got Justin Jefferson to do the rest of the work. Let's see. And then I got Jalen Waddle. Again, speed. Like, what the Broncos, we got Cortland Sutton. I'm saying that's not my team. Broncos got Cortland Sutton, so I need that speedster that can get that safety to choose a side. Because that safety got to choose a side if they're going to go one high. Now, if they go two, I still believe that Waddle can take the top off that defense. So that's just things that I think of when it comes to offenses. I need my two to do something my one can't do. So Stephon, there's some teams that you could play for. Are there winning teams? I'm not sure, because I wouldn't want you to go to the 49ers because we got Mike Evans over there and two slow riders. I don't think we want that. Two slow receivers on one team. I don't see it. Who else we got? We got the Seahawks. You couldn't be a two over there because they got Cooper Kupp still. There's a lot of teams he could be a 2 for, but it might not be a contender. But we shall see. Let's see. Let's go to the next topic. Let's just shift over. Let's shift over to who is under the most pressure this season. This is my guy, my team. I'm saying, but I want to say the player that's in the NFL under the most pressure is Lamar Jackson. And I say this because y'all been hearing all the news. Oh, Lamar Jackson is a coach killer. He gets his coaches fired. And I don't believe that is true whatsoever. But the reason why Lamar is under so much fire is because right now everybody looks at Lamar like, you're a 2-time MVP and you're in your prime. You're trying to stay on the field. Staying on the field is pretty hard for him. I ain't gonna lie. Staying on the field is pretty hard for him. But I believe his team around him hasn't contributed to the winning, let alone him. Everybody look at Patrick Mahomes, but his offensive team always been better than the Ravens. Our number one receiver right now is Zay Flowers. Me personally, I don't see Zay being a number one. That's just me. So Lamar's under a lot of pressure. He got some young guys in that receiver core that should produce. I believe they could produce if we could get that offense rolling. We still got Derrick Henry, but Lamar, you are under a lot of pressure because these folks don't want to pay you. You see they just extended Patrick Mahomes. You see they just extended Josh Allen. What I'm saying, they don't want to extend you because they're going to say, well, he's injury prone. He's that. They don't think about your arm. Patrick Mahomes is injured right now and got an extension, but Lamar didn't. That just shows how much the Ravens value. And I guess they want to see more, but what more do you want to see? He's been the reason why we have been relevant. We're going to say, the year that, no, we ain't going to talk about Tyler Huntley because he's a good player. But Tyler Huntley, in that playoff game, right? If Lamar plays that game, we win. That's the difference between Tyler Huntley and Lamar. Let's be honest. Y'all like to say the dumbest of things and say that, but let's keep it a bean. We know who runs that team. We know who's the reason that team is even relevant. Defensively, we are not good. Anyway, let's go to the next thing. All right, let's see. I'm going to say the biggest disappointment of the offseason to me is the Ravens not trying to get rid of Marlon Humphrey. I'm going to be honest. I hope he sees this. Marlon, you have not been good for this defense for a while. I don't know if y'all remember, but Marlon Humphrey got routed up by an older receiver on the Steelers. I won't mention his name, but he got routed up. Older receiver, not that good. Marlon, I feel like people doesn't cover his side. That's why I believe we're going to start playing him as a more slot type instead of on the outside. But the thing is, Marlon, if you're going to be in the slot, some of those slot receivers are quite shifty. faster than you because you're not that fast. Me personally, I don't want to see it. He can't play in the box. He can't. Because I'd rather put Kyle in the box. If Kyle's in the box, I'll let him go to that slot. Marlon, I think we should have dealt you for something else. Because I don't think you're getting paid too much for the things you don't do. So that's the biggest disappointment to me. I felt like getting rid of Marlon Humphrey would have pushed this team a little bit further, get something different, get a pick, get more younger at DB. We got some good DBs. Get younger at DB. I'm saying we got my boy over there. He gonna be the number one, and they're gonna play well. But we're gonna see how that goes, right? You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest disappointment. Let's talk about slept-on teams. Some slept-on teams to me, I want to say that the Jaguars, they are getting good. They got some talent over there. Travis gonna be starting at corner. I don't know how much he's gonna play on offense, but at the same time, I want to say that Travis is going to do well. Trevor Lawrence is going to do amazing. And that team has some depth. And that front seven is good. They are something to reckon with. And the Jags in the playoffs, I went to a regular season game in Jacksonville against the Ravens. I went to a game, that stadium gets rocking. And don't let it be nighttime. That stadium gets rocking. You might see somebody up there in the little pool going crazy. Man, they are slept on. And I believe that they have a chance to do something. And in the same division, I would say the Texans also. Everybody's down on C.J. Stroud right now, but we know what he can do. We know if he calms down, have a good offensive line, and just be himself, we know what he could do. He got a new running back, David Montgomery, and his receivers are only getting better. They're young. That defense is amazing, number one. And we're going to see what they do. We're going to see what happens. You know what I'm saying? I believe that they're really slept on. You know what I mean? Them two teams I think is really slept on teams. You know what I mean? And we're going to see what happens, y'all. We're going to see what happens. I really think those teams are slept on. It's some good teams out there. But them are our top two that I think is really slept on. Let's go to the teams that may get too much hype. And I'm going to say only because it's just the rankings that the NFL gave them. The NFL got the Bills being top roster right now. And to me, the Bills play good, but I think they just overhyped. I think Josh Allen, he's an amazing quarterback, but he doesn't have much over there, no weapons. But he does make do with what he has. But I think the Bills can be overhyped a lot because people give them a lot of credit that they haven't really shown or even earned. You know what I mean? Another team that is overhyped, I want to say the Lions. Their defense, since Aiden Hutchinson been gone, hasn't been good. Aiden Hutchinson is coming back, so that maybe they do play well. But the Lions have been a little bit overhyped. And the hype died this season, though, because they didn't really make the playoffs. So the hype did die. We're going to see how they do. I think they're going to do better. I believe they need a different quarterback. I don't think Jared Goff is the answer. I think you draft a quarterback for the future next season. Because after next season, it's going to be a lot of quarterbacks at the draft that you could really do well with. Make your offense a little bit more explosive. But the Lions the Eagles are very overhyped. Amazing team, but I don't believe in their quarterback. I'm going to be honest with you. Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback that I see leading that team because you just lost AJ. And you already haven't been running the ball like you used to, and you lost AJ. So now it's putting a lot of pressure on Jalen because now you have to help this young receiver become your number two. And you got to also help your number two become your number one. You know what I mean? And that is a big job for Jalen. And I think it's possible, but I think he has a lot of work to do, y'all. But, man, it's the first episode of 13th Street. I'm finna edit this up. I'm gonna start streaming. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start streaming probably on YouTube. I just gotta get my setup together. We could go through things. We'll talk about everything. We'll go over the news, see what's going on. and we're gonna stream it. Cause I think the videos, I'm not gonna wanna do videos all the time. We're gonna do it straight, and I'm gonna clip it up. We're gonna see what's going on. I'm gonna probably edit this up, do some clips, and I'm gonna holler at y'all later, y'all. It's 13th Street, and I'll be back. All right.